shall we begin?
Let the games begin.
All right.
A new age has begun. An age of freedom.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Get to the chopper!
This is going to be quite a ride.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Movie Bit Podcast. I am your host, Christian. Thank you very much for joining me on the podcast this week. 2 podcasts in 1 week. That's, I'm spoiling you guys. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Movie Bit Podcast. This is, of course, the podcast where we talk about all of the big breaking movie news items that have come out throughout the week. Also talk about the movie trailers. Not so much the movies coming out in theaters, because there really is no more movies coming out in theaters right now. Because we live in a COVID world. So we're going to talk about all the movie news that came out this week, or the big movie news items that came out this week anyway. Comic-Con, virtual Comic-Con is going on right now, so there's obviously going to be a lot of things that come out today that I've missed, so I apologize for that. But there's a lot of stuff going on with virtual Comic-Con, so if you're interested in that at all, just, remember that's going on right now, so you guys go check that out. But we're going to talk about all the stuff that has come out already. We got some release date carnage once again. We got a pretty big trailer that came out this week. 2, really, depending on how you feel about one. And then some more stuff. So let's just get right to it. The first thing we're going to talk about is the new Mutants panel. I'm not going to go into the whole thing. If you want to watch it, I highly recommend you watch it because it was actually a lot of fun to watch. So the new Mutants panel, I'll put a link down below so you can watch the whole thing. It was really cool. They talked to pretty much the entire cast, or at least the main characters that we're going to be following. And the director was there. Josh Boone was there. They showed first they started off the panel making fun of the fact that the movie kept getting delayed, and then they released the new release date, which I believe, I didn't put it down, but I'm pretty sure it's still August 28th of this year. Again, hopefully, who knows, maybe it will get delayed again. They did talk about on the panel how the movie feels cursed because it kept getting pushed back and delayed. But let's see what happens with this. So they talked about everything, but the main thing I want to talk about a little bit is the new trailer they released. They started off the new trailer after they showed the opening of the movie, which is something that we've seen in the previous trailers, which is Danny, aka Moonstar, kind of running away from her village, getting destroyed, and they kind of showed that in its entirety, and then her waking up in a hospital wing, and then they went into the new trailer. New trailer looks good. It's a short little trailer. They didn't show too much of the movie, but they showed a lot of brand new footage. I think Josh Boone said they were like 75 or 80% done with the movie. So there's still, probably going to be little touch-ups they do here and there. They showed Magic using her sword, which is really cool. A lot more action. It gives off a very better vibe than we have experienced before. There's a lot of bright, vibrant colors at one point. It looks good. I think it is easy to make fun of New Mutants because of all the pushbacks and delays and stuff, but I think it looks good. I do. From the trailer wise, I think it looks good. So let's see what happens if that comes out or not. Again, I put a link to the whole panel down below in the description / show notes area if you want to go check that out. So let's move on to the big trailer of the week, really the only trailer of the big trailer anyway that came out, and that is the new trailer for the third outing of Bill and Ted, called Bill and Ted Face the Music. It's once again, this is another movie that suffered from the release dates shifts and everything. It was supposed to come out on July 31st, then it pushed back to the beginning of August because it didn't want to compete with Tenet, or the studio didn't want it to compete with Tenet. It has moved again. It will now come out on September 1st in select theaters and premium VOD, which, of course, if you remember anything about premium VOD, it was where Trolls came out on premium VOD, and they have that big argument with AMC theaters and Universal that AMC is no longer going to show Universal movies in theaters. That was a while ago. If you want to go catch up on that, it's very fun read. Anyway, So the third outing, we'll see, of course, the return of Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter playing the titled characters, who are now middle-aged men. They are married. They have children, daughters, played by Samara Weaving and Bridget Lundy Payne, who is, I want to say, a newcomer. I haven't really seen her in anything. So they play the daughters. So they, Bill and Ted, are visited by someone from the future, played by Kristen Shaw, which I always think is fun to appear in the movie. And they get sent to the future, and they hear that they need to sing the song that they were destined to write that will save the rest of the world, that will save pretty much the entire universe and the world. And and we realize that, of course, they have not been writing it. They don't have it, and they hatch a plan to go to the future to steal it from themselves, which, leads to the question: is it really stealing from ourselves? If we're stealing, is it really stealing if we're stealing it from ourselves? So there's that. It also looks like the daughters will get in on the time travel fun. It looks like they're putting their own band together with people from the past. And at some point, they end up in hell with Bill and Ted, and they see them. And that kind of bookends the trailer, which is really nice, little tidbit at the end. But yeah, it looks fun. I will admit that it's been a while since I've seen a Bill and Ted movie, either one of them. So I have probably to go back and definitely rewatch those before I watch Face the Music. But it looks from what I can remember of the movies, it does look like it's keeping the spirit and the vibe of the old movies. And it's really hard to see Keanu Reeves in anything other than John Wick. I kept waiting for him to pull out a gun at some point, but it's fun. We need this little movie, this little wholesome content movie to keep us sane in these times. So the movie will co-star, like I mentioned, Samara Weaving, Bridget Lundy Payne. I mentioned Kristen Shaw. Anthony Carrigan's going to be in there from Barry, and William Sadler will return as Death. We do see him. He has a little few bit parts in the trailer, so hopefully we don't know what kind of shenanigans he's going to be a part of, but he will be there. So there you go. September 1st is, again, the release date for the movie in select theaters and on premium VOD. Let's move on to the movie news items. Let's first start off with some quick fire. Of course, quick fire, if you never listened to the podcast before, is where I pretty much the movie news items where I don't have too much to say and they pretty much speak for themselves kind of go. So Paramount Pictures have found their director for their Grease prequel. Yes, they're making a prequel to Grease called Summer Lovin'. In Brent Haley. Haley was the director of Hearts Beat Loud, which, if you heard my podcast earlier this week, it is the monthly rewind of June and July. You may have heard me mention Hearts Beat Loud. So this is a pretty cool choice. Apparently their job for the director was very highly coveted, and he went in and pretty much just, won them over, and with a pitch that he came up with to update the movie for today's audiences, which is kind of what everyone wants, especially if you're making a prequel to a movie that pretty much everyone knows or has some familiarity with. This will be Haley's first film under a major studio, having been on the independent circuit for a long time. Leah McKendrick is writing the script, but there is no word on exactly when or what the prequel will cover. So just be prepared. Just prepare yourself for that, I guess. M. Night Shyamalan's new mysterious movie, can't speak, has found its lead in Gael Garcia Bernal. He was in Y Tu Mamá También. If you remember that movie, he was also in Rosewater, which was the first movie directed by Jon Stewart. He was one of the voices in Coco. He played Hector. He was the man that Miguel finds in the underground right away. He was in the movie Desierto, which starred him and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and he was also on the Amazon series Mozart in the Jungle. Details on who he's playing is being kept secret, as is the story. So we don't know too much about the movie. We do know the cast of the movie, which will include Alex Wolff from Hereditary, Thomasin McKenzie from Jojo Rabbit, Elisa, I should say, Scallon from recently from Little Women. She was also in the in the show. What was it called? Oh, damn, what was it called? Sharp Objects. There you go. On HBO. Abba Lee's also going to be in there. She was from Mad Max Fury Road and the Neon Demon, and Vicky Krieps from The Phantom Thread. The movie does have a release date currently of July 23rd of next year. Who knows if they will keep that, obviously, because next year seems so hopeful, but it's also a major question mark in the world of movies. We'll get to that in a little bit. Amazon Studios is in final negotiations to buy the worldwide rights to Without Remorse from Paramount Pictures. The movie is based off the Tom Clancy novel and stars Michael B. Jordan as John Clark, a U.S. Navy SEAL whose wife is murdered, and he goes on a quest for revenge. The movie will be directed by Stefano Sollima, who directed the sequel to Sicario, with the script having been written by Taylor Sheridan, who wrote the first Sicario. He also had a hand in writing the second one. He also wrote Hell and High Water, and co-stars Jodie Turner-Smith and Jeremy Bell. Paramount recently removed the movie from its release schedule. Removed their movie from the release schedule. So there is that. So I guess they're just gonna cut their losses and sell it to Amazon and have Amazon release it through there. Of course, Amazon already has Jack Ryan. I don't know if they're gonna try to do a crossover, but there is that. Speaking of movies going to different studios, Universal Pictures is close to landing the untitled outer space movie with Tom Cruise and director Doug Liman. The movie will be an outer space movie. I'm not just making that up. It is, if you remember a while ago, because the movie will be a partnership with SpaceX and will likely film on the International Space Station, which is in space. But there is no script yet. There is an ominous tagline that was released from Variety, which broke the news, that reads like this, saying, quote, "You can't be sure what you're going to get up there, and you only have one shot to do it." What does that mean? Who the hell knows? But there you go. There are early estimates, I should say, that the budget will be around $200 million minimum. And that includes Tom Cruise's salary and insurance plans for various space-based complications that may arise. Again, whatever that means. So there is that. I don't know how they're going to do this. This is going to be really hard. Doug Liman's going to be directing. Tom Cruise is going to set the star. Pretty sure they'll probably have other people in there. I don't know if it's just going to be Tom Cruise by himself, but regardless of that, this is crazy. And of course, with Tom Cruise attached, doesn't seem that crazy, but it's still pretty crazy. All right, so those are the quick fire movie news items. Let us move on to the big movie news items of the week. I was going to start off with the release changes, but I'm going to save that for afterwards because there was a lot. So the actual first movie news item, big movie news item we're going to talk about is Edgar Wright. He has found his next project in the adaptation of the short story titled Stage 13. The story comes from Simon Rich from the short story collection called Hits and Misses. The story for Stage 13 follows a struggling film director that is hired by a studio executive to direct a fake movie to appease the ghost of a silent film star that has haunted the soundstage for decades. While the movie is being made in hopes of getting the ghost to leave, the director and her form a bond. And I'm assuming the her they're talking about is the studio executive. Again, Edgar Wright will direct, with Rich adapting his own screenplay. Rich has had other short stories kind of get bought out. One of them is An American Pickle, which stars Seth Rogen, which you can watch on HBO Max. That is out right now. So if you want to go check that out. This sounds kind of interesting, especially with Edgar Wright attached. I feel like this could be a very big Edgar Wright kind of feel movie. I mean, you always have those. Edgar Wright has just that phonetic and kinetic, I should say, energy when he directs stuff. And this seems right up his alley. I think this is kind of cool and interesting. I think the concept itself is interesting. So I'm looking forward to this. And as for Simon Rich, I haven't read any of his stuff, so I can't really comment too much on him. But with Edgar Wright on board, I am on board, fully on board. All right, so let's move on to the next movie news item. The Pelican Brief reunion is in the works. Denzel Washington and Julia Roberts are set to appear in an adaptation of the upcoming novel titled Leave the World Behind. The adaptation will be a Netflix movie and will be directed by Sam Esmail, aka the man behind the hit USA series Mr. Robot. And he's also worked with Roberts on the Amazon series Homecoming. So it's just a whole reunion all the way around. The novel follows two upscale families, one white and one black, who find themselves sharing a remote vacation home. Sorry, I was running out of breath there. A remote vacation home owned by the black couple in the midst of a citywide blackout that has knocked out phones, TV, radio, and internet. So they have no way of finding out what is happening. As strange sonic booms shatter the peace of the countryside and animals start to migrate in strange ways, everyone's mental health begins to disintegrate, and issues of race and class become distractions from the more alarming things happening around them. So that sounds interesting as well. And you got Julia Roberts in there. She will play the mother of the family that rents out the house, which is the white family, and then Washington will play the homeowner, the member of the black family. Netflix apparently beat out Apple and MGM for the project, which good for them, and sounds like they will turn it into a limited series if all goes well, which should be interesting. I don't know if they're going to have Denzel Washington and Julia Roberts in that limited series, but either way, that seems pretty cool. Esmail is just one of those. If you've never seen Mr. Robot, I mean, that's just it. It's an awesome show, and for him to kind of get this, I know he has other shows. Homecoming again was one of his shows. I know he had another show on on USA. I think it was called Briar Barch with Rosario Dawson. I know she was in there. I know they were promoting it like heavy when I was watching Mr. Robot. I haven't watched it yet. It's on my DVR, but I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. So, but this sounds interesting. I mean, you got Denzel Washington, you got Julia Roberts in a Netflix movie of all things. This could have easily gone to theaters, but no. In the world we live in, we're having Julia Roberts and Denzel Washington in a Netflix movie, in a movie that seems really out of their realm. I mean, they're not really genre heavy actors. I mean, Washington has a few under his belt, like Book of Eli. I mean, you can make the argument that Deja Vu was kind of a genre movie too, but you got that. Julia Roberts, I mean, she has a couple under her belt, like Mirror Mirror was one. Oh, that was kind of probably just for her kids. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool to have them both back together. I mean, obviously A-listers in their own right, amazing actors in their own right, and to have them come back with Sam Esmail of all people in a concept that sounds pretty interesting, I think that's going to be really cool. So, all right, let us move on to the final movie news items of this week. It was kind of a light week again, not too much going on, and I think all the studios are saving up their stuff for the virtual Comic-Con that's going on right now. So, at the time of this recording, these are the final movie news items, and it's the carnage, the release date carnage that is going on again. So here we go again. So we're gonna start with Warner Brothers, which actually kicked off everything. Warner Brothers has moved two of their big movies, although one of them doesn't have a release date at the moment. The first one is the third outing of The Conjuring, which is called The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. That was originally set to come out on September 11th of this year. The studio has pushed the movie back to June 4th of next year. So there is going to be that. I'm assuming they finished filming since they're going to release it in September. But there hasn't been like any trailers for it at all. So, that the move does, it doesn't hit as hard as other movies where we've seen trailers and we've seen pictures and stuff. So there is that. But the next one is the big one, of course, and the one that everyone was talking about. There, one everyone knew was inevitable, but we still had hope. I mean, we didn't have hope. The studios had hope. Christopher Nolan had hope. Yes, I am talking about Christopher Nolan's Tenet. That has been removed from the release schedule. It kept getting the 2-week pushbacks, and this time around, Warner Brothers just completely removed it from the schedule for now. However, Warner Brothers chairman Toby Emmerich released this statement saying, quote, "We will share a new 2020 release date immediately for Tenet, Christopher Nolan's wholly original and mind-blowing feature. We are not treating Tenet like a traditional global day and date release, and our upcoming marketing and distribution plans will reflect that." What does that mean? Who the hell knows? Warner Brothers is keeping that very close to the chest. Maybe they'll release something over the weekend during Comic-Con, during virtual Comic-Con. Who knows? But Tenet is currently pulled from the release schedule. They're going to release it sometime. Maybe they'll release it like holiday weekend. Who knows? Like in November, December. Who knows? But Warner Bros. Isn't, completely out of it. They still have Wonder Woman 1983 and Dune set to come out this year in October and December, respectively. So again, considering, or not considering, but we'll see how the state of things are at that point, because AMC just, delayed their opening. They were supposed to open at the end of the month. They're now going to open at the end of August. So we'll see what happens with that. So let's move on to the other release date changes. The first one we're going to get into is the big one, the other big one. It's Disney and everything that Disney owns. So this includes Marvel, and this includes Searchlight Pictures. So the studio pulled Mulan from the release schedule as well after COVID cases continue to rise. This is the fourth delay for the movie. They have not given it a new release date, so they have just removed it from the release date entirely. It was originally set to come out on my birthday, March 27th. Then they pulled it back to July 24th, and then to August 21st, and now that is no longer the case. They've also delayed future Star Wars and Avatar movies. Avatar 2 will now open on December 16th, 2022. Avatar 3 will open on December 20th, 2024. Avatar 4 will open on December 18th, 2026. And Avatar 5 will open on December 22nd, 2028. Meanwhile, the future Star Wars movies will now open on December 22nd, 2023. Stick with me, there's a lot of numbers. The next Star Wars movie will open on December 19th, 2025, and then the final Star Wars movie they have dated is coming out on December 17th, 2027. So yes, Star Wars and Avatar will be ruling the holiday box office for the foreseeable future, again, considering how the state of movies will be once we get to that point. Other movies included in there, and this is where we get to the Fox Searchlight things of it all. The Personal History of Derek Copperfield, which is an adaptation of Charles Dickens' novel, has moved from August 28th, which is just 2 weeks. It was supposed to come out a little earlier. That will now come out on August 28th. Still this year, Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch has been removed from the schedule. I think they removed it already beforehand, but they brought it up again on this new report, so I just wanted to mention it. The Guillermo del Toro produced horror film Antlers, which was removed from the release schedule, has now been moved to next year officially on February 19th. So they have finally dated that movie for next year. Ridley Scott's The Last Duel with Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Adam Driver will now come out next year on October 15th. It was originally supposed to have a limited release in December with a wide release in January, but now they've pushed that back a full year. They were already starting to film that before Hollywood shut all production down. Disney hasn't delayed all of their movies yet. They still have the Kenneth Branagh murder mystery Death on the Nile, which is a sequel to Murder on the Orient Express. That will come out on October 23rd. They kind of pushed that back a couple weeks as well. Their supernatural horror film, The Empty Man, will still come out on December 4th. And they also, of course, still have Black Widow and Pixar's Soul set to come out in November. And the Ryan Reynolds action-adventure Free Guy and Steven Spielberg's adaptation of West Side Story also coming out in December. Again, for the time being. Sony Pictures has also delayed the next Spider-Man movie. That was supposed to come out next year anyway. They've just pushed it back a month. So it was originally set to come out in November. It will now come out on December 17th of next year. They had already pushed it back already. It was supposed to come out in July of next year, and they pushed it to November. And again, now they've pushed it to December. Paramount Pictures has once again delayed the release of A Quiet Place Part 2. That was originally set to come out in March as well. That was one of the first movies to move when COVID started striking. So that was the kind of the first fatality and everything, and it's still getting pushed around. But from what I hear, it's already finished. Like they completed it. They're done with it. There was an advanced screening of it, and people really liked it. But obviously, with everything going on, they couldn't release. And they had plans to release it in September of this year on Labor Day weekend, but obviously that won't happen. So they've pushed it back to next year on April 23rd. The other delayed release for Paramount is Top Gun Maverick. That was also supposed to come out this summer. They pushed it back to December, and now they've pushed it back again to next year on July 2nd. Again, this is the third move for that movie as well. Other movies the Paramount has pushed back is the sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog. They've pushed that back to April 8th, 2022. I can't remember what the original release date was, and the report didn't mention it that I saw, and I forgot to look it up before I started recording, so I apologize for that. The new Jackass movie has been pushed back as well. Not that big of a push. It's only a few months. It was supposed to come out next year anyway. It was supposed to come out next year in July. They just pushed it back next year to September. So there's And those are just, and yeah, that's everything that's come out so far. Obviously, if anything else big gets moved around, I'll put that up on the Twitter. But it's crazy. This year, we had the last real big movie that we had out in theaters was The Invisible Man, and that was back in March, right? That was it feels like so February. It feels like so long ago. Probably late February, early March. I don't know. It felt like so long ago. But summer's gone. Summer movie season is no more. I mean, I had everything set up for the summer movie season podcast that I always try to do. It's always one of my favorite podcasts to do. That's just obliterated, and the movies are pretty much not gonna be coming out for the rest of the month. Really, I mean, except for drive-ins and the occasional movie theater that's open that wants to release stuff. This is crazy. It's. I don't think we're gonna be getting movie theaters, or I don't think we're gonna be getting new movies at all this year, unless something drastically happens. I don't really think that we are realistically gonna be seeing any new movies that come out this year. Any big movies that come out this year. I don't think we're gonna get Black Widow this year. I don't think we're gonna get Tenet this year. I really don't. I don't think we're gonna get any of the movies that I just listed off that are still coming in. I don't think we're gonna get Dune. I don't think we're gonna get West Side Story. I don't think we're gonna get anything. I don't think we're gonna get Wonder Woman. I honestly don't think we're gonna be getting any new movies coming out for the rest of the year. I think 2020, the film year of the big movie year of 2020 is gone. It's dead. I am. Anyone who listens to my podcast, anyone that knows me a little bit knows that I am slightly pessimistic in general, and I have tried to remain optimistic in all this. I've tried to remain just a little bit optimistic, especially when it comes to movies, because I run a movie news podcast. But I don't think we're going to be getting any new movies coming out this year. I honestly don't. And it pains me to say that. It really does. I know that Christopher Nolan wanted Tenet to be the movie that brought back, audiences to movie theaters. And I know there's a lot of people I know he got a lot of flack for that. And I get it. I do. I understand both sides of the argument. I get the people saying that a movie is not worth, it's not worth sitting in a movie theater for 2 hours, 2.5 hours to watch a movie and potentially get, what's going on. I mean, it's okay to send your kids back to school, right, for 8 hours, but that's a completely different, argument. But that's my one political thing that I will say on the podcast. I get one now. But I don't think we're going to be getting new movies. I get that Christopher Nolan wants Tenet to be the movie that brings back audiences to movie theaters. It's not happening this year. I don't think it is. Unless something drastically changes. Unless COVID suddenly just decides to disappear when, October or November hit. And then they can start just pumping out those movies in December. They haven't delayed it yet, but there's mentions, there's been reports that maybe they're going to delay No Time to Die Again, which is the next James Bond film. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think but I will plant my flag and say there's probably going to be no movies coming out. And it pains me to say that. It really does. But I don't think we're going to be getting new movies in 2020. I think 2021 is going to be the year. I think even 2021 is hard. Because 2021 is going to be stacked. That's going to be every weekend in 2021 is going to be like the summer movie season. I feel like at this point, because studios are going to want to release their movies, and they're going to be competing not just with themselves, but with other studios, because they want to get their money back. And so Tenet was a massive investment for Warner Brothers. The movie cost like over $200 million to make. And I get it. They want to make back their money. And I get that if they delay it even more, they're going to be losing all that money. But it's not worth having someone sit in the movie theater to, not just to try and enjoy the movie while they're stuck in a movie theater with a bunch of other people that may or may not have it, or that fear of getting it. So I don't know. It pains me to say, but I don't think we're getting new movies this year. I think we'll get the occasional like mid-budget movie, but I don't think we're getting any of the big blockbuster movies. I highly doubt it. I really do. I think they should just pull the plug. It's not worth having audiences go to a movie theater to watch. It's just, and again, it pains me to say because I love going to the movies. I love watching these big movies, the big and small movies as well. But I'm not going to a movie theater risking my life, risking my health, and the health of everyone else that I know around me and everyone that I know and love to go watch a movie. It's not worth it. As much as I love going to movie theaters, it is not worth it. I'm going to wait until either there's a vaccine or until the CDC says, hey, the coronavirus is pretty much dead and gone, or the risk of you getting it is very, very extremely low at this point. That is the only time that I'm going to be going back to a movie theater. And it pains me to say that. And I don't think it's going to be happening anytime soon. It's not going to happen for the rest of the year. I doubt it. And if it does, then I will, eat my words. But I don't think it's happening. And movie theaters keep delaying. Movie theaters are closing back up. I think there was a whole thing in China that where they were closing their theaters again. I think I just saw the headline. I didn't read the report. I think just with everything moving, with all these big, movies getting pulled from the release schedule, from moving, just cancel it. Just cancel the rest of the 2020. Release those, mid-budget movies, or if you want to take the risk and be like, you know what, we're gonna drop Mulan on premium VOD and just have people watch it, or we're gonna drop it on premium VOD for like a couple weeks, and then release it on Disney Plus, or I highly doubt that Warner Bros. Will release Tenet in a movie theater, because Christopher Nolan has been adamant about not just the movie being the movie that brings back film goers to movie theaters, but also being in the movie. It's a movie that needs to be seen in theaters, and I get it. I love the gusto. I don't know why I said it like that. The gusto of Christopher Nolan and him trying to say that this my movie is the movie that should bring audiences back. I get it. I love it. I do, and I get why people give him flack for that. I do as well. It's not worth it. It's not. It's honestly not. No movie is worth it. You can say that this movie's worth it. This movie's worth it. People, you can call me a Marvel shill and say that Black Widow's worth it. It's not. No movie is worth you going to a movie theater and potentially getting it and, infecting the people you love and the people you know. So just cancel the rest of 2020, as much as it pains me to say, and let's hope that by next year, 2021, there's either a vaccine or that COVID is, the risk of you getting it is extremely, extremely low. Because that is the only way I'm going back to a movie theater, to be honest. I barely leave the house as it is. I got a summer job that I leave that, requires me to wear a mask, which is great. Don't have to really talk to people. Don't really have to approach them, which is great, which is awesome. And that's it. And I like that. If any of that had to change, I would quit my summer job and just wait. And the dig about kids going back to school was not just a random dig. I'm a substitute teacher on normally. I mean, if you listen to the podcast enough, you know that I'm a substitute teacher. I don't know what's going on with the school system. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. Being a sub, we're kind of the last people to know about anything going on. So I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. So I just, I don't know. It's not worth it. Just cancel the rest of 2020, as much as it pains me to say again and again. And let's hope that 2021 is better. That 2021, we get to go back to the movie theater and we get to watch some of these movies that have been delayed. We get to watch Mulan. We get to watch A Quiet Place 2. We get to watch, everything else. We get to watch Halloween, the Halloween Kills, the sequels to that. We get to watch all those movies. Godzilla vs. Kong. We get to watch all of them. Hopefully. In a movie theater, not wearing a mask. Or maybe wearing a mask if you're still worried about it, then that's fine too. And let's hope that 2021 is better. Because if it isn't, what do we do then? Honestly, what is the most convenient way to go about it? And movie theaters are failing. They're not failing. They're struggling, and there's talk about potentially bailing them out. And that's the other thing. That's the other thing we have to worry about too. So I don't know what's going on. This Corona, man, it just messed up everything. It really did. All right, that's it. I'm rambling now, and I apologize for that. But I'm done. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. Obviously, I'm recording this. So I'm recording this on Friday. So if anything drops, it will most likely go up on the Twitter page from this point forward. I am using the Twitter page more, so all the links you guys need to follow me outside of the podcast are down below in the description/show notes area. Twitter, Instagram, WordPress, although I'm not really using WordPress that much right now because I don't know what to do. I am thinking about things to do on the WordPress to keep that more active. So there is that. What else I got going on for you? There was a podcast earlier this week, in case you missed it. It's the monthly rewind of June and July. It's a bit on the long side. I apologize. I combined the two. It's weirdly edited at one point because you can clearly tell that I was going to split the podcast up and I didn't. So there is that. So you can listen to the podcast wherever you listen to it. YouTube. The podcast is officially now on Spotify, which is great, which is awesome. So if you want to go listen to, if you need another outlet, another platform, if you prefer to listen to your podcast on Spotify, there you go. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, and on Stitcher. Also, we're also on Podbean. That's pretty much the other place you can go listen to the podcast. Wherever you listen to it, give the follow. I don't know why I was stuttering. Give me a follow, give me a like, do whatever whatever it is on that platform that you need to keep up to date with the podcast and, have it pop up whenever, it pops up. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast this week. Wear a mask, social distance, 6 feet. Although I saw a truck when I was driving and it said 10 feet. That person clearly does not want to be around other people. But, and it was like a company, it was like a cable company car. So yeah, but 6 feet, social distance, wear a mask, wash your hands, follow what the CDC guidelines are telling you to do, and, just be safe, be smart. You're smart people. You're all smart people. Please just be smart about all this. And of course, the weekly motto, don't be a dick. It's not that hard. Don't be a dick. So that's it, everybody. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. Hopefully you guys have a safe and a healthy weekend. And I will see you guys next week, hopefully. And as always, go watch some movies.
Whoop whoop! Yeah! Give it up! Movies!